going, what do I need to do to put myself in play to become one of the future presidents of one of those companies and be able to make $5 to $10 million in my career? The question is how do you attract top talent when you're a small business and compete against larger organizations? So I have a saying that is you're never going to hire somebody into your business that's going to solve your problems. When you start your business up until you're about 25 to 50 million, you're going to grow your team. So you have to hire for attitude, train every day for results. You set the tone, you set the direction, you train your team, and you execute, because you can't compete. Anybody who's really good, that's in a 20 or 30 or $50 million business, they ain't coming down to a $3 to $5 million business if they're really good. It's too small for them, unless they're taking a chunk of flesh with them. So they're going to want something that you're going to not want to give up, because they're really not going to help. You got to remember, each breakpoint is a business cycle. So when you go hire somebody in breakpoint 7 to come help you in breakpoint 3, they may not have any clue what to do at breakpoint 3 to breakpoint 7. They may have got hired on at breakpoint 6 and helped the company go to breakpoint 7. So you got to know what belongs in which breakpoint and where people's experiences are. But you got to settle into this. You got to develop your top talent. When I sold Audigy at $40 million, 60% of my executive leadership, it was the first job they ever had. They've been with me 14 years. How long you guys have been with Grant? 12. 12, how long? 9. And they built it from the ground up. Todd can't go out and hire a world-class salesperson who's making $10 million a year or $5 million a year to come work for him. So he hires and trains his teams to become world-class salespeople. And then they're loyal, they stick with the business. I think for all of you to know, across those 10 elements, right, you're going to have to groom your team members up. And if there's an area in the business that's technical where you don't have an expertise, what you do is you go get referrals for someone who is an experienced controller or CFO who's maybe retired or a lawyer, and you hire them to come work and develop your team member that has a great attitude, aspirations to grow, and you grow and train up your people up until 25 million. At 25 million, you're going to need to bring a couple experts in. At 45 to 75 million, you're going to need to bring in about 40% of your leadership team. They're going to be people you need to strategically recruit into your business. And that creates disruption from some of your loyal people. So you just got to understand what happens where. But at 5 million, you're not going to bring a bunch of top talent in.
And one thing that I will add on that also is when people are being hired for a job, that's all they'll show up for.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is you need to paint a bigger picture of what their role is and what it could be. So when I hire people now, and Todd's seen me do this, like I don't talk to them about just where we're at now. I spend 20% of my time talking about where we're at now, and 80% of my time talking about where we're going. So what it does is it helps people understand how they can play a part in growing this to become something bigger, particularly if you're smaller. If you're able to craft a message to them that's based around them achieving the things that they want and how you're going to help make sure that that happens in your organization, then they're going to hear something different from you than anywhere else. Our guys are showing up for their goals. They're not showing up to make calls for us and make a paycheck. They're showing up because they have goals and we remind them of them all the time. And so painting a big picture about where you're going is extremely important. I've seen this guy, because of his ability to do that, get people that were making 400, 500 grand a year come in for jobs making 180 grand.
Because we're going to $1 billion, and they want a shot at the president's position or equity in one of a launch company. So the reason we're launching companies, 10X Health, 10X HVAC, 10X Dentist, is because I want my whole team to be sitting there going, what do I need to do to put myself in play to become one of the future presidents of one of those companies and be able to make $5 to $10 million in my career? And so that's all I talk about, is all the different things we're building, because that's how you pull people that do have this experience to come into your organization. I hired Sean right there. Sean started at a company that was $100 million, and I recruited him for 4 years and finally got him. And when he left that company, it's worth $8 billion. Why would Sean make that move when he was the 5th or 6th employee there? Because Sean is rolling out 2 or 3 of our business units that are all going to be 100 million plus businesses, and he wants to be a partner in the beginning of that. So if your vision is big enough, you can grab big fish and bring them down. But if you're talking about going from 5 million to 7 million, then Sean was like, I'm already doing 8 billion.
Hey, so one of the, on the circle, the wheel of income and flow, I think it was like number 8, was get a second flow of income without adding time. So I'm trying to figure out how you do that because everything seems to take time. So I'm a lawyer from Los Angeles. Is that like adding another practice area, or what does that mean, adding another
It's a good
flow?
question. I have a lawyer in Los Angeles who went to our mastermind in Cobblestone, yes. And she was a family law. And she's like, I have my law firm, I'm very successful, I'm in this lane, how do I add second flow of money? And I
She was
said,
making like $3 or $4 or $5 million a year.
yeah. And I said, how many people can't afford you? And so she said, majority. And I said, okay, what can you do for the majority that can't afford you the way you're delivering yourself? It's just like what I did with Gary Brecka. I brought Gary Brecka into the studio, and I had Gary Brecka deliver exactly the way he would deliver somebody's readings for blood and methylation, that someone would pay him $20,000 for a one-on-one meeting with him. And we went through and we recorded it, the exact sequence. I handed it over to the technicians. The technicians put it in depending on your results. It automates and comes to you in your email, and you can sit and watch it and then hit to subscribe. She did the same thing for family law. She turned that thing on 3 months ago, and she already has 1,000 people that subscribe to it. So what she's done is taken a complicated one-on-one work that she charges an enormous amount for and created a generic version for people who need the guidance, the advice, the help, that can't pay $5,000 an hour for a lawyer. That's how you create, because it's no more work for you. You're already doing it. You're just delivering it in a different vehicle. And it opens the top of your funnel up because now lots of people are getting involved. And someone will say, yeah, I'm learning from this, or I'm going, and someone else will say, man, let me see that. I need to talk to that person. So it creates multiple flows because of a different activity than what you were doing. So you got to get creative.
Hello. So I'm also an attorney, but from a very small state, Vermont. I really struggle with finding employees just because winter there, it's, driving is hard. So my question for you is your thoughts on having some virtual help, either temporarily or part-time.
Sounds great. We launched Cardone Ventures during COVID. So 80% of our employees around the country were virtual. Now, you have to be much more disciplined virtually than you are in a live environment because you don't have the ability to see what's going on. And the best way for us is we looked at who did their Cardone U training at what time every single morning. And if they missed it, we'd give them a verbal. If they missed it again, we'd give them a written. If the third time, we terminate them. Because if they're gonna hide in their house and not do the things that we mandated are the most critical, then we already know they're not going to be a tight end. But we built a whole business to 70 employees, I think, 60 employees, entirely virtual.